Jarrod Bowen has been linked to Newcastle United as they're prioritising a right winger ahead of the summer transfer window, and while they've been having their player recruitment meetings, just like every other club in the country, Bowen's name has been popping up frequently because those in charge of player recruitment at St James's Park are big fans of Jarrod Bowen and have wanted him for quite some time as well. This feels like an appropriate time to remind you that this is the West Ham Transfer Rumour Show, where we discuss big gossip. We don't necessarily believe it, we certainly don't make it up, but we discuss it hypothetically anyway, and that's the big rumour we're going to be discussing today, as well as an England under-17-year-old striker the Hammers have been linked to, more strikers we've been linked to, an update on Wesley, somebody that's been released from West Ham, and it wouldn't be the Transfer Rumour Show without one player I've never heard of and I'm unsure on how to pronounce his name. We've got all that to look forward to, but if you're new around here, please do subscribe and also drop a like on the video as well by clicking thumbs up. Both things help out this video, help out the channel, and make me very happy, and they're free, so get involved. Right, Bowen to Newcastle. I believe half of it. The half I do believe is that they need a right winger. I would agree, as a neutral looking at the Newcastle squad and watching Newcastle this season, I think they do need a right winger. I think Almiron is one of the players they need to shift on, so I believe that they are prioritising a right winger. It makes sense. I believe they're big fans of Jarrod Bowen. Why would they not be? One of the best performing English players in the Premier League that plays in the position they're prioritising. That also makes sense. But do I think it will happen? No. It just won't happen, because Bowen is worth more to West Ham than what it would cost Newcastle to get him out of us. He's probably not worth the price tag for Newcastle, because if you're a Newcastle fan watching this, and I'm going to talk about Newcastle fans in a minute, how much do you think Bowen would be worth? I would not be surprised if your answer is 70 million, round about that. However, if you're a West Ham fan, I was to ask you that, I wouldn't be surprised if your answer is 100 million plus, and it's certainly the price tag I would put on him. I would say 100 million for Jarrod Bowen. Do I think he's worth 100 million to Newcastle or Man United? Insert any other team. No, I do not. I think there'd be better value for money out there. But is he worth that to West Ham? Yes, he is, because he's the perfect player for us. He's 1 year into a 7-year contract. He's absolutely loving it at West Ham. 27 years old. We've hopefully got the two of his best years to look forward to. He's settled with his partner Danny Dyer. The daughter, not the gangster in the film, the daughter of Danny Dyer, also called Danny Dyer. He's settled, he's got his family. This is the right club for Jarrod Bowen, and I think Jarrod Bowen's the perfect player for West Ham. I don't see him leaving, truth be told. I am worried about someone coming in from Mohamed Kudus, and I think that would be more realistic for Newcastle. Newcastle went to pursue a right winger. I think Mohamed Kudus would be the right one to go for, because we know he's got an 85 million release clause next summer, so you could chance your arm at trying to get 85 million, getting him for 85 million this summer, maybe 90 million. Maybe we would tempt West Ham to get that extra 5 million for a player that we feel perhaps is inevitable we lose at some point. But Bowen, just don't see it. Now, in regards to the Newcastle fans, I was reading their reaction to this transfer rumour, and it's very respectful to West Ham and Jarrod Bowen. The general gist is, top player, would love him, unrealistic, West Ham won't sell him to us, silly rumour, let's move along. And I think all those things are true, and it's in line with what I think. Confirmation bias, perhaps. The interesting thing for Newcastle, though, would be, it's funny how the domino effects in football work, isn't it? And it's for West Ham and Newcastle because of one player, and that's Lucas Paqueta. So for us, there's a rumour came out yesterday, which we'll discuss tomorrow. I'll be live tomorrow at 9 AM on this channel, by the way, just for half an hour with Charlie, interacting with the live chat to get your thoughts in about transfers, Paqueta, the manager, etc. So 9 AM tomorrow, Sunday morning, if you're around, come back. But there was a little report yesterday that West Ham's transfer plans have somewhat hit a bump because of Lucas Paqueta being charged by the FA, that we were hoping to sell him for 85 million, so we've now just lost 85 million essentially. So that's bad for West Ham. Also, it throws a bit of a curveball in Newcastle's way, because if Man City did want Lucas Paqueta, there is a lot of talk that their sort of alternative could be Bruno Guimaraes, who obviously has that £100 million release clause, and there's a lot of talk that Man City are looking to move on Nunez already, so that's how they're going to raise some of the money to try and get Bruno Guimaraes. So Paqueta being charged could actually be bad news for Newcastle and West Ham. I say West Ham, obviously brand new, but in terms of our transfer spend up. Weird how football works, isn't it? So Jarrod Bowen to Newcastle, I don't believe it, but do you know what? Neither do Newcastle fans. He's the one player I just cannot see leaving. I worry about a couple of others having interest like Kudus, but Bowen, can't see it whatsoever. Anyway, before I go any further and we just start discussing that England under-17 that we're linked to, we are auctioning off this shirt, and it's dirty because Mohamed Kudus has worn it, not because I wore it in the garden or anything like that. Mohamed Kudus wore this. It's got a bit of soil on the bottom there as well. It's got some nice grass stains for you. It's match worn and unwashed, so it's a real match worn shirt, isn't it? He wore it away to Baylee Dipepa in the Europa League just a few weeks ago. If you go on Google and go into Get Images and search that game, you can see Kudus wearing that shirt, and because of the stains on the shirt, it proves that it's actually that shirt that we've got. So we're auctioning it off. If you wish to bid, email us hammerschat@gmail.com or hammerschatpatron@gmail.com, one of the two. Just put Kudus shirt, Kudus, whatever in the subject with your bid. The top bid at the minute is £300. It's running until next Tuesday. I think it's the 4th or the 5th of June, because I'm away to Scotland for the next week, so I need to be around for when we close the auction. All the proceeds are coming to Hammers Chat, by the way. We're not auctioning it off for charity. It's all the money comes to Hammers Chat to help us run throughout the summer, because June, July is a bit of a... It's a bad month for Hammers Chat because of lesser content on Patreon. We lose a lot of patrons for June, July, then they come back in August, which is good, but for 2 months it gets a little bit scary. We run at a loss. Anyway, if you would not want to bid in it, get involved. Right then, Baylee Dipepa. And that's the name. That's not the name I can't pronounce. There's a worse one coming up. Baylee Dipepa is a 17-year-old striker for Port Vale. 3 goals last season. Got a couple of assists as well. But perhaps more impressive is 4-4 for England under-17s. He's just recently scored for them as well. We, alongside Man United, are being linked to him because he had his sort of breakthrough season this season. September, he got into Port Vale's first team. They got relegated, but he's supposedly had a lot of good performances. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, never heard of him, right? I'm not going to pretend I've heard of him. Never heard of this guy. But this is the type of signing I'd be interested in from West Ham. If we've identified a young talent, 17 years old, and also, while he wouldn't be good, you'd assume he's not good enough for the first team yet, I feel like there's an obvious thing here in terms of where to put him next season. Port Vale have got relegated. They were already giving him minutes in the first team, and they've got relegated to League 2. I feel buying him and loaning him back to Port Vale for the season just feels obvious. It's why would he not want to stay there? He's in the England under-17s team for his age group. Why he's fine, you're getting international recognition at Port Vale. Stay at Port Vale, keep scoring goals, hopefully have a good season, and we can reevaluate in 12 months' time. So while I've not heard of this guy, this is the type of signing I'm hoping we're going to start making. Somebody for the future. Yes, we need players for today. We also need players for tomorrow, but we also need players for 3-4 years' time. Especially when more and more pressure in terms of the financial regulations, basically the Premier League are actually taking this stuff seriously now, since the threat of government getting involved. They're now trying to show we can do this ourselves. We don't need an independent regulator here. We can deal with it, thank you very much. So buying players now and hoping that they become Premier League players in the future, it's a wise move. And we have tried it, in fairness. We've tried it, Callum Marshall, Patrick Kelly, even players before that. It just didn't work, like Tony Martinez, Frederick Alves. We brought in these players hoping they'd become good enough, and it hasn't worked yet. There's still time for Kelly and Marshall, but I don't know, there's something about this one. I quite like it, even if I've never heard of him. Another player I've never heard of, and this is the one I might butcher the name of, Etienne Kenu. Now, the strange thing with this is we're not necessarily being linked with him today, but the report was that Marseille are set to bid for him in this summer transfer window. However, we had a bid rejected for him back in the January transfer window. Now, I don't recall this player being linked to us in January, so if we did bid, it was very kept under the radar. But apparently we bid €6 million for him in January, which was rejected. However, Larve, is that how you say it? English spelling way, Le Havre, but I think, is it Larve? I don't know, I've always thought it was Lavre, is how you pronounce it. Probably butchering that City as well. Havre, he plays for them, 22-year-old defensive midfielder. Marseille's interested in him. If you know anything about him, please get involved in the comments below, because I like to learn about these players we're linked to. Dan Chesters has been released from West Ham. His contract expired this summer and we've released him, so he is no longer a West Ham player. Best of luck to him. I remember him coming on in that game very late on, 5 minutes to go. And the game was done. I can't remember the score, but it was done. There was at least 2 goals in it either way. I think we were winning comfortably. And he just flew into a slide tackle, won the ball, got a big cheer, and about a minute later he did the same thing again. But he's one of those players that isn't quite good enough for West Ham, but he will go on to have a good career. Maybe at a League One level or something, which is really successful. We all hate things about football. We all do. We all have our pet hates. YouTube channels is one of them for a lot of people, understandably so. But one of mine is downplaying a player's ability because he only plays at League 1 or League 2. Like, to get paid to play football is an incredible achievement, and you're in the 1% of people that make it. You're in 1% of the country. Thousands of kids want to play football professionally and don't make it. So when you do, just because you didn't make it a Premier League club and you have to drop down to League One, that is still a ridiculous success. So best of luck to Chesters, and I hope in a few years' time he's playing in the Championship, maybe even made it back to the Premier League. But best of luck to him, because I've never heard a bad word about him when he's been at West Ham all this time, and he's had a big part in the success of the under-21s in the past as well. Moving on to Wesley, just a quick update. Their club president has increased the price. So far we've been dealing with the bidding for Wesley digitally, but the president of Corinthians wants to come over to Europe and meet up with, I assume, Tim Steidten. So he wants to do it face to face, but also he's added an extra 5 million on. So the price up until now was 20 million. And he's increased it to 30 to 35 million euros, which is just 25 million pounds to 30 million pounds. So he's added an extra 5 million on as well. So there's been a late spanner in the works for this deal. The Fabrizio Bruno one, it's going plain sailing at the minute. So I'm still expecting the centre back. I'm not so sure about Wesley, but hopefully both things get done. Again, don't know much about them. However, there's somebody joining me on the channel very soon that knows a lot about both of these players, and he's going to tell us exactly why they're good signings for West Ham. Or bad ones. I'm not saying he thinks they're good. We'll find out. You'll find out. In terms of strikers, we're being linked to Boniface, which just isn't going to happen. Why would he leave Leverkusen? I'm not sure. But also, it's not good value for money. I'm going to say it. I don't want Boniface at West Ham. I think he's a fantastic striker. I think he's been an incredible signing for Leverkusen. But he's not got the best injury record, and they're wanting just under 50 million for him, which they're well within their rights. Go back to the Jarrod Bowen argument at the start of the video. Leverkusen should be demanding 50 million for him. I just don't think it's good value for money, really. I'm not convinced that he'd be a good signing. He's a great player. He would score goals. I just think you can get a bit more for 50 million these days. We're also being linked to Enesri and Girassi, as well as Broja once more, who his reputation has decreased even more. He went on loan to Fulham, didn't really do anything, was injured. So I think a few seasons ago, he was sort of, after that loan spell at Southampton, a lot of clubs wanted him. But now, I think Chelsea are going to have to almost give him away to someone. Somebody will take a punt on him. Not anymore. I would have been okay. I wanted him on loan in January because I felt we could have done with a striker on loan, but I wouldn't want him anymore. That ship has sailed for me. Between the Southampton loan and today, there's been a lot of injuries in there. Nothing as serious as he has suffered, but it's no thank you, no thank you. I don't think we can do better than Broja, but I don't think we need to throw a load of money at a really big established striker like Boniface. There's plenty of strikers in the middle, and there's one I'd like at Villa Park that's not called Ollie Watkins. I think he's in the middle. That's who I would. It's a bit of a wish list thing, but I would love Duran at West Ham next season. Anyway, there you go. That's the West Ham transfer rumours. Bowen to Newcastle. West Ham being linked to Baylee Dipepa of Port Vale. Also linked to Etienne Kenu as well. Dan Chesters has left. Wesley and Fabrizio Bruno could still join, but Wesley's club president is being a pain in the neck for Tim Steiding, and then we're linked to a handful of strikers. That's your latest West Ham transfer rumours. I'll be back tomorrow live at 9 AM, so if you fancy joining me, please do. And if you want that Kudus match-worn shirt, there's literally only one of them in the world, for that game obviously, please email us hammerschat@gmail.com or hammerschatpatreon@gmail.com with your bid. The maximum bid right now at time of recording is £300. It's going to have to be greater than that to take the lead. Anyway, drop a like on this video. Please do subscribe if you're new to Hammer's Chat. I'll be back tomorrow at 9 AM. I'll see you then.